I guess it's a long story. I was just calling to ask your opinions. I started out as a Christian Baptist, and I'm nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous.
It's okay.
I'll let John talk.
It's all right. Well, around the age of 15, I moved to paganism, and I've been listening to y'all shows for quite a while. And I was just wondering, sorry, I'm so nervous.
No, it's fine.
I've been moving more towards atheism recently.
Yeah.
And I'm having a hard time getting over sort of my comforting things like doing rituals and stuff like that.
Is it more valuable that something that you believe is comforting than whether or not it's actually true?
I definitely feel that truth is pretty important in that sense. It's like I can think about it rationally when I'm like feeling energy and stuff, that I know it's processes in my brain that are causing all kinds of chemicals and all this other stuff, but it's still comforting to do certain things, like sorry.
No, go ahead, John.
I personally don't have a problem with pagans in general. I love pagans, and I think pagan rituals are kind of fun too. I grew up Unitarian Universalist, and there's a lot of pagans in UU churches, and
yeah,
they do fun stuff, and they get together and they celebrate nature and the changing of the seasons, and I think that's cool. I don't see any problem with that. It kind of depends on what it is that that the pagan ritual is doing for you and what you think it's accomplishing. And if it's just community with other people and celebrating life and nature, we could get into a debate with the last caller about whether that's worshiping nature or not, and does that make it a god? But to me, in the end, it's just getting together with people and hanging out and doing fun stuff. I'm all for it. So I don't.
Yeah.
I'm I'm kind of in the same boat. There's a couple of exceptions. So I have some friends who are Jewish and actually go to temple and participate in all the ceremonies. They're secular, and they're doing it from purely of a standpoint of tradition. So I don't think that they're necessarily irrational or doing anything wrong, and who we are culturally, that can be important. It's about, like on Talk Heathen earlier, there was a guy who called in who, he cast a spell and it supposedly came true. And so,
I heard that.
if you were engaged in, sort of casting some sort of spell, and yet you didn't think that you were doing anything supernatural, maybe you thought of it as like, this is the rough equivalent of meditation, or this is even though the power of positive thinking is largely bullshit, the fact that there is a placebo effect, and if you think that thinking positive is going to make you feel better, then it's probably going to make you feel better, but there's nothing magical about it. And so if you're doing things that you enjoy, and you're not actually causing harm to anybody, and my biggest problem would be reinforcing the magical thinking of those beliefs onto others. Because if I'm engaging in a ritual surrounded by people who believe that they're actually communing with nature and tapping into energies and changing things in some supernatural sense, then my participation tends to add some credence to their views. That's the only part of it that I would be worried about. First of all, don't beat yourself up too much. You're open, you're learning stuff. You don't have to give up everything you know and love and enjoy. And it is possible to engage in those things without, the supernatural baggage. And also, this stuff can take time. Yeah.
I've been listening to y'all's podcast for, oh my goodness, like 2-3 years on and off. And more so recently, I've listened to them like forgive the phrase, but religiously.
Sure.
And
just don't
there's so
worship
much-
us.
No.
Hey, you were really quick with that. No. Good for you.
But I'm kind of in a situation where I can't really come out. I mean, I'm out as a pagan, but I kind of live in a sort of a commune, like community type thing where it's really funny. Like I think of my life as a Christian, an atheist, and a pagan, and a Luciferian walked into a bar kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where
you could be the one to order 3 shots then.
I guess so.
So the thing when you say that you're not necessarily in a position to come out, I'm curious, if you were to tell the other people, the other pagans in the commune that you're involved with, that you don't actually believe the supernatural stuff, but you still value the community and the ceremonies and ritual, what do you think would happen?
Yeah. I don't think they'd disown me per se, but I think that a lot of the things that we used to do, like doing the rituals and talking all kinds of paranormal, spiritual stuff, that would kind of diminish, and I would not necessarily lose a few friends, but the connections would kind of dissipate.
Yeah.
And I'm not too worried about that either. But my partner, he still knows that I'm kind of on the side of atheism at the moment. But he believes in Asatru, Odin, Thor, and all that. And he says I don't necessarily have to tell anybody, which it's not their business that he says. So I guess it's true. But I also don't really know where to go from here, sort of. Because I don't want to keep going to certain things, because the person I'm talking about, she believes sort of in Azazel, which is devils and all this kind of other stuff. So,
yeah, he was the subject of a movie with Denzel Washington, actually. I think the important thing, Christina, is just keep searching, keep getting yourself to the point where you're going to only accept things based on good evidence, and you've been a lot of people. And we all are. Everybody changes all the time. I'm not the same person I was when I started the show. I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago. I'm not the same person I was the day before yesterday, maybe not even yesterday, in many respects. And just be comfortable with knowing that you get to be you, and you're going to figure out who you are, and that the people that are in your inner circle are going to change. It's just going to change. Yeah. I have one or two friends still from high school, and we interact very infrequently, but we're still friends. That's a type of lifelong friend. There are people who were very close to me while I was in the Navy who I haven't interacted with much since. The circle of friends I've had within the ACA has changed over the years, and my interests have changed. I have just mountains of hobbies, and sometimes I want to spend more time talking about philosophical stuff, and sometimes I just don't. And all of that is okay. But if you're practicing critical thinking, if you're engaged in, proper skepticism, if you're not willing to believe things without evidence, and you are still being an honest, open, decent person, then the people who leave your life because you don't share their beliefs aren't worth having around. Jen Peoples famously on the show said that you're family when you act like family. And it's always been said, we don't get to choose your family, but I think you do. I think that in every sense that you don't get to choose who your blood relatives with, but you do get to choose your family and your friends.
And that's kind of what I've done. Basically, everybody is family where I live at the moment. And it's really nice to actually feel open to, or have the openness with everybody in paganism anyway. But
I tell you what,
where
I think you're. I know. I really wish that we had some awesome, here's what you need to do next thing, except that probably the best thing we can tell you is stop listening to anybody who tells you what you need to do next.
Yeah. Just be true to yourself. I think at least as I've gotten older, being true to myself becomes more important than fitting in necessarily.
Yeah.
And like Matt says, you're going to fit in with the people who you really need to fit in with. And it may not be the same people, and it may, but the people who care about you are gonna value you for you. And if you don't share a particular aspect of their of their spirituality or what they practice, then they're either going to accept you or not. And there's really nothing you can do about that except to just be yourself.
And don't worry about it so much. I realize that oh my gosh, things are changing, and that can be, panic worthy. I'm not going to tell you everything will be all right, because that's a bullshit platitude. and both of us can tell you that the number of times somebody told us everything will be all right, and it actually was, is slim. But what they want me to do, they want me to put you on hold, because I think somebody in the booth had something to add, or maybe somebody to put you in touch with. I don't know. But touch back with us or with Talk Heathen from time to time to let us know, where you're at in the transition, and maybe you are going to get good advice to give out to people who are in similar situations as well.
Yeah. I had another question really quick. I work at a daycare, and I am a lead teacher for a 2-year-old room. And I didn't know this when I applied, but they are a Christian-based daycare.
Okay.
And I'm not really sure what to do about it, per se, about how to teach the children and stuff. I'm just going with basic, math, science and stuff. So I don't know if there's any kind of help that I could find to maybe have my back if parents come at me or whatever. But
I don't know what to tell you, because okay, so the daycare is run by people who have beliefs that are different from yours. Whether or not they have that as a requirement that you share that, or that you teach what they want you to teach, that's something you got to work out with them. Because guess what? As a private organization, they get to do whatever they want, no matter how despicable I might find it. I think the best thing for you to do is just to keep caring for the kids and doing, it's going to be really hard for people to be mad that you taught kids math and science.
Yeah, exactly.
It may happen.
And they know that I'm not Christian, and they said it was okay. I don't know if there's any kind of other organization out there that,
if you think there's problems, then the people to contact are probably like Freedom from Religion Foundation. That's usually the first stop for things like that. If you find that you're alone and you don't have anybody else to talk to about this, of course you can email us, you can call into the show. But there's also the the Recovering from Religion Foundation, and there may be a group near you. There's also Oasis, Sunday Assembly, and other kind of secular gatherings. And probably the one thing we encourage everybody to do is to find some other people who are like-minded. You're going to find out very quickly that your story is not remotely unique, that there are people who are going through the same thing that you're going through. And man, I tell you, there's been several times in my life where I've gone through some fairly difficult things, including recently. The worst thing you can do is hide yourself away by yourself. It is far better to have a select group of people that you can interact with and who you can commiserate with. You can, I'm not going to suggest everybody go out and engage in drugs and alcohol, but if you want to spend a night, kind of binge watching something and getting away from anything and everything else, having people around that are willing to do that is probably the best therapy to start with.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put you back on hold, Christina. We're gonna try to get to one more call here before the show ends, but I think they wanted to say something.
I'm sorry it took up so much time.
No, you didn't.
You didn't, and I wish I had another hour to give you, but I don't.
And best of luck to you, and let us know how you're doing.